Hello YouTubers, this is Cessnaace back again with another DVD Blu-ray collections video. Although I only have one Blu-ray to show, so I'm going to show it first. But before I get to it, I need to do a shout out. I need to do a shout out. Because this is a channel that, well, the guy behind the channel I've known on YouTube for quite some time. He was one of the earliest people that I subscribed to, along with several others. And he spent the last year away from YouTube. He shut his channel down entirely. But he's back, and I'm speaking of Yethboth. Now, his new channel is called Yethboth, but whereas before it was one word, now there's a space between Yeth and Both. I'll put a link down there. So we have X-File 2708, who went away and came back. We had Yethboth, who went away and came back. We need to work on Super Dan 88. He hasn't gone away, but he hasn't uploaded anything in quite some time that I've seen. So I remember a conversation I had with X-File 2708 Marcus, talking about, we need to really work on Super Dan 88, but be that as it may. Yethboth. Also, well, yesterday I spent all day trying to do a video, and the audio was bad every time I tried it. And I tried all kinds of things, and it just was not acceptable. Well, I fiddled around with it today, and I got it to where it sounded okay, and I did several tests, and it still sounded okay, so I'm going with it and see what happens. Also, while I'm thinking about it, if I haven't already mentioned it, Gamer Jitsu. She was a channel I was going to shout out yesterday when I was trying to do that video. I've known Gamer Jitsu for quite some time. I just really love Gamer Jitsu. She's part of the group that I had mentioned in a previous video. We used to do conferencing on Skype. Haven't been very active on Skype of late. But anyway, Buffer Kid and Gamer Jitsu and Jay Blackheart and I and others I don't recall who they were in these sessions. And in one of the sessions, Gamer Jitsu mentioned that she was on the lookout, or had always wanted, an Atari 2600. And I can't remember if it was later on in that same session or in a later session, she mentioned that the Sega Master System was one that she had always been looking for, or had wanted. Well, I let a couple of sessions go by, and then I asked her for her address. And kind of funny, her reaction, she said, "You're not going to send me a Laserdisc player, are you? Because if you send me a Laserdisc player, my boyfriend is not going to be happy." I don't know why anybody would be upset over getting a free Laserdisc player, but anyway, I said, no, not a Laserdisc player. So she gave me her address, and then I sent her 2 consoles. I had been at the flea market and had come across a really early, made in America, Atari VCS Heavy Sixer. They were only made in the US a few months, and then manufacturing went overseas. But it was boxed, and I included several games, and I sent that to her. Then I went on eBay and found a really nice Sega Master System that was a bundle, and I had that shipped directly to her. Well, within a week of her getting the Atari VCS and the Sega Master System that I sent her, she got a package from Luke Morris 1. He sent her a PC Engine, which is something I've always wanted. Anyway, so she got an Atari VCS Heavy Sixer, a Sega Master System, and the PC Engine, all within about a week. Anyway, if you haven't checked out Gamer Jitsu, please do. You may notice that she hasn't uploaded any videos in about 7 or 8 months, but it's kind of understandable, as she was engaged when all this was going on Skype, and since then She got married, and she went on her honeymoon, and she got pregnant, and she had her baby. So you can understand why she's been inactive. But her channel is still up. So I think if people started subscribing to her, she would start uploading again. So Gamer Jitsu. All right. The Blu-ray that I promised you. This is a triple feature, so hey, it's like I'm showing you 3 Blu-rays. Gamera Trilogy. I picked this up at in the discount bin at Walmart. It includes Guardian of the Universe, 1995, Attack of the Legion, 1996, and Revenge of Iris, which is 1999. All 3 are enhanced widescreen with an aspect ratio of 1.85 to 1 and is encoded with 5.1 Dolby Surround for both the English tracks, for the English and the Japanese. Both have 5.1. They also, for the Japanese, include 5.1 DTS HD. No, Buffer Kid would probably, I don't know. He's a big Godzilla fan. I don't know how he feels about Gamera. Okay, as anyone who has been subscribed to my channel for any length of time would know, I'm a big Moon Lee fan, and I'm a big Michelle Yeoh fan. This stars Michelle Yeoh. I imported this from Hong Kong, and it was released by Universe Laser and Video. They also published a lot of Laserdiscs. Anyway, the name of the film is Magnificent Warriors. Try not to have the glare, so I have to tilt it. Anyway, I adore Michelle Yeoh. It's been a while since I've seen this film, but as I recall it, it's a pretty good film. It has 2 language track options, Cantonese and Mandarin, both of which Michelle Yeoh speaks, and she speaks flawless English too, which is why I don't understand some of the home video releases of her films that have been dubbed into English. They didn't use Michelle Yeoh when she was educated in England and speaks flawless English. Maybe they didn't want to spend the money to hire her to do the English dub track. I don't know. Anyway, Cantonese and Mandarin. And then this has the most subtitle options I have ever run across on a DVD. It has 9. They are Chinese Traditional, English, Chinese Simplified, Japanese, Bahasa Indonesia, Bahasa Malaysia, Thai, Korean, and Vietnamese. Letterboxd. And it says, no copy allowed. Okay, this is a really good Stanley Kubrick film, although some people don't consider it a Stanley Kubrick film because Kirk Douglas, who stars in this film, had the original director fired and called Stanley Kubrick, who he had worked with Paths of Glory, and he said, basically, would you do me the favor, a big favor, and direct Spartacus? Kirk Douglas really gave Stanley Kubrick a hard time during the making of this film, but it was a big hit. So he had a big hit under his belt, and that gave him clout. Spartacus. This is the restored version. This has an amazing cast. Kirk Douglas, Laurence Olivier, Gene Simmons, Charles Lawton, Peter Ustinov, John Gavin, and Tony Curtis. I'm Spartacus. Well, I am Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. We're all Spartacus. Okay, this film is part of a series. I saw all 5 of these films in a theater, back to back. They had booked all 5 films in the series. I'd already seen one of them in a theater in Germany. To be specific, West Germany. That's back when Germany was still a divided country. I'm talking about the original Planet of the Apes. Now, what has always driven me crazy about this title is every video release that there has ever been of this that I have ever seen gives away the ending on the cover. The shock ending, which they go to great pains to build up to in the film. Well, I guess I'm going to show you the cover, so I'm going to be guilty of the same thing. But not only did they give it away, they gave it away twice. Now, this includes quite a few extras, and of course, that was parodied in the Mel Brooks film Spaceballs, which I also saw in a theater. Like I said numerous times before, I used to go to the theater a lot for the cinema, 3-4 times a week. This was when I was single, of course. This I saw on AMC, I think, back when they didn't run commercials. They were run pretty much like Turner Classic Movies is now. Commercial free, they had hosts, they would give you a little trivia information before the film started and then after the film ended. And in between films, they would run behind the scenes stuff and everything. But then AMC went commercial. Thankfully, Turner Classic Movies hasn't gone commercial. Anyway, I saw this on AMC, and it's called Behind the Planet of the Apes. This covers the making of all 5 films in the original series. Notice they gave away the ending on the first film on this cover, too. This includes a boatload of extras, over 3 hours worth it says here, exclusive Roddy McDowall interview, original 1967 NATO presentation, behind-the-scenes footage, digitally restored Edward G. Robinson makeup test. He later bowed out. He just couldn't take the constant makeup required. Dailies and outtakes, and 3 complete featurettes. Now, it has the Fox logo on it, and then above that the AMC logo, for the reason I mentioned. But it's not the 20th Century Fox logo, it's the Foxstar Productions logo. And some places now, they are referring to themselves 20th Century Fox as 20th Century Fox, and other places 21st Century Fox. I think they're transitioning this. This is 2-disc special edition of the remake, which isn't all that good. However, this uses a different shock ending. And in fact, the shock ending that's in this film, I believe, is in the original novel. I don't know about the original French version, but in the English language version that I have, it has the same shock ending that this film has, which, as I said, is different from the original film. But this is not one of Tim Burton's best films. Okay. Back when I was in university, a series came on NBC that was a science fiction parody series. I knew it wasn't going to last long, just I had a hunch, but I was enjoying it. And so I was desperate to get my hands on a video recorder. But you have to remember, this was 77 most probably, maybe early 78. VHS only came out in 77, and I didn't buy my first VHS VCR until a year and a half later. So I almost bought a reel-to-reel black and white video recorder just so I can record this series, but my dad kind of talked me out of it. Anyway, this is the complete series of Quark. From the co-creator of Get Smart. That would be Buck Henry and not Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks and Buck Henry both created Get Smart, and I think they both created When Things Were Rotten. Anybody out there besides me remember that series? Just think Robin Hood Men in Tights on television with a different cast. Okay. This includes minisodes. I don't even remember what those are. I Dream of Jeannie. Anybody here seen Jeannie? Fantasy Island, Island of Horrors. Some of the information in the grid below may not apply to special features. Okay. Well, there's a character on here that's kind of transgender in a way. Her name is Jean, spelled differently for the male side and the female side. But what I always thought was stupid, or where they missed an opportunity. Maybe they thought it would get old after a while, but the series wasn't on long enough for it to get old. But his character's name is Palindrome. Well, palindrome is a word or a sentence or a phrase that is spelled exactly the same way forward as it is backwards. ABBA currently holds a palindrome record here in the U.S. They are the only musical artist to hit the American charts where both the group's name, or artist's name, and the song are both palindromes. ABBA, A-B-B-A, A-B-B-A, and the song SOS, SOS, SOS. He doesn't speak in palindromes, which I thought was a wasted opportunity. Keep that aside. The Adventures of Super Mario Brothers, The Trouble with Koopas. This has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 episodes. I still haven't opened it. Got this at Big Lots for $3. Bats. Bats Human Harvest. Okay. The Great Raid. Insidious. Doctor Who, The Mind Robber. Watchmen. This is a used copy, obviously. Okay, this next one is a documentary. I bought this at oldies.com. I barely paid anything for it, but it's interesting. It is unauthorized. It is an unauthorized biography of Brian Epstein, the Beatles manager. Inside the fifth Beatle. This was released by Passport Video. Black and white and color, runs 80 minutes. Okay, Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer. Used copy. Still sealed. This is a 2-disc set and has a ton of bonus features. So for $3.99, pretty good deal. Now, this next one I got from Sinister Cinema. It has 2 titles. Actually, the IMDb says it has 3. But they used the poster from one title, and the title that's on the print they used is on the spine. The poster says Destination Planet Hydra. The spine 2+5 Mission Hydra. As I said, from Sinister Cinema. And as I recall it, I didn't particularly care for this film. Their backs are generic. Same thing written on all of them. Okay, this is actually 3 films in one. Bela Lugosi, Dracula, The Legacy Collection. Most horror fans are familiar with this film and what I'm about to say. Universal was really trying to appeal to the Spanish-speaking parts of the world. So they filmed 2 versions. In the daytime, they would film the English language version with Bela Lugosi, and etc. And then at night, they would on the same sets, they would film the Spanish language version with a different cast and a different director. Now, the director was American and was spoke English, but the cast were all Spanish or Mexican. Every day when he would come in, according to the extras here, he would screen everything shot the previous day, or that day. And he would make notes on where to improve it. So visually, the Spanish language version is the most interesting version to watch. So if you're already familiar with the film, maybe watch it in English first, or if you speak Spanish, watch the Spanish version to begin with. And then watch the Spanish version if you've only seen the English language version, because there are some really cool camera tricks they use in the Spanish language version. Now, I mentioned the 3rd version. This was in the early 30s, 31, something like that. And the Depression was hitting the whole world hard. So a lot of theaters hadn't uh, modified to where they could play sound. This was especially true in some foreign countries. So they made up a silent version, but they used the Spanish language version for the visuals, for that part. For the other titles would be in whatever language that it was meant to appeal to. But they would use the Spanish language footage, which is kind of interesting. It's like there's a ton of extras, and I'm not going to go through them all. But obviously, this used to be a library copy, and as you can find those at Books A Million, that's obviously where I got it. Okay, the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. Showdown in Brooklyn. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 episodes. Picked this one up recently, actually. I already have the complete first season of Rocky and Bullwinkle and Friends, made up of various bits. There'd be a main storyline with Rocky and Bullwinkle, but then there would be side stories with various other series, like Boris and Natasha. This is the best of Boris and Natasha, Volume 1. I know the case looks empty, but it's not. That's just the design they used on the face of the disc. Here's some people out there say, you buy a lot of used copies. Okay, this is Wolverine and the X-Men, Beginning of the End, in widescreen, released from Lionsgate. I have a feeling that future versions, or future animated films that are made for direct-to-video or whatever, are going to be released by Disney. I just have a hunch, because, you know, they own Marvel now. I also own Star Wars, so I don't know what they're going to do with the comic book series, which has been published by Dark Horse Comics for years. But if and when their contract expires, I wonder if Marvel would then get it. Next cues, please. Okay, this is a double feature. Hollywood Horror Collection. Killer. They have a hand over it, so I misread it. Killer Creature double feature. Bloodlust and Adam Age Vampire. And I have both of those in other collections. But I probably bought those other collections after I bought that. Okay, it is time for us to enter the wonderful world of PAL. Before we get to these, and I may have more of these in another bag somewhere. This is a series that has been released in the US, but I happened to get it quite some time ago. PAL, so Region 2, this is rated PG, the complete first series, plus the Christmas Lunch Incident, starring Dawn French. We have the Vicar of Dibley. Okay, this series has also been released in the US, but I bought these DVDs years ago. '06 is when I first watched this one. I've mentioned this before. I have makeup index cards for all of my videos, and I write the date on the back. Whenever I watched them, and I saw this one on March 26th, 2006. This series has really high production values, and all of the episodes are feature length. Most are in widescreen, and in addition to high production values, this series also has a high body count. This is called The Electric Vendetta. There's a rather gruesome scene where somebody is electrocuted. Suitable for people age 12. Painted in Blood. Strangler's Wood. Death in Disguise. Dead Man's 11. Oh, Troy on the cover of this one. Who Killed Cop Robin? Troy's back. Judgment Day. Troy's gone. Dark Autumn. Troy's back. A Talent for Life. Troy's gone. Blood Will Out. Troy's back. Tainted Fruit. Troy's gone. Garden of Death. Troy's back. Just let me know when this gets old. The Killings at Badger's Drift. Troy's gone. Blue Herrings. Troy's back. Murder on St. Mally's Day. Troy's gone. A Worm in the Blood. No, A Worm in the Bud. Don't know why I associate blood with this series. The highly acclaimed ITV series. Troy's back. Birds of Prey. Troy's gone. Death of a Hollow Man. Troy's back. Fooled you. Back again. Death of a Stranger. Destroying Angel. Death in Dreams. Sound like a loose disc in there. Yep. Written in Blood. Okay, that's all for now. This is a double feature. I have a copy of the first film on magnetic video, on the magnetic video label, which was the very first home video label ever. Both of these films star Peter Fonda. The first stars Peter Fonda, Susan George, Adam Wark, Vic Morrow, and Roddy McDowall. The second one, Peter Fonda, Warren Oates, Loretta Swit, and Laura Parker. The first film is Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry. The second one, Race with the Devil. Now, I had one of my sisters-in-law over. I think this was right after my wife and I got married. And she was really getting into this movie, and she thought it was really good. Until suddenly, we hit the ending, and she was none too pleased. There's a bit of irony about Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, because, as I mentioned, it co-stars Vic Morrow. As you know, Vic Morrow was killed while filming Twilight Zone, the movie. The pyrotechnics went off early and brought down a chopper. And as the helicopter was falling, Vic Morrow, who was playing a racist, did what a racist wouldn't have done, and he turned and ran towards the helicopter, picked up two Vietnamese children, and quickly went back the other way. But sadly, all three of them were decapitated. In Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, he plays a cop after them. There's a lot of car chase sequences, including being chased by a helicopter in which Vic Morrow is in. And Vic Morrow, that helicopter is flying low and at a high pitch. It's like someone's like that, right off the ground. And he tells the pilot, run into him, hit him. Oh, then the low light, the out of fuel light comes on, and the thing goes over like that. It lands quickly. But, yeah, crashed into them, and he was later killed by a helicopter. From Sinister Cinema, 16 Fathoms Deep. They usually use poster art for their covers. Don't be afraid of the dark. Famous last words. Okay, what I have here is Volume 1 of Season 1 of Sea Hunt, Lloyd Bridges. There are 16 episodes on this volume. This is Volume 2. Again, 16 episodes on 2 discs, like the last one. Railroads, Tracks Across America. 36 documentary collection on 2 discs. Railroads, Tracks Across America. John Wayne fan. Here's a John Wayne film, The Comancheros. Which reminds me of a story that really doesn't make sense. but it's true, and that is Wayne made the only pro-Vietnam War film I can think of, and it was made in the middle of all the protests and everything about the Vietnam War, because it was still going on. Well, there were a lot of protests about the film, even though it was one of the top grossing films of that year in the US. But when it played in Sweden, now this is the part that doesn't make sense. The people who were protesting the violent action of Americans for the Vietnam War blew up the theater that was showing it. That's what one forensic expert referred to as magical thinking. It's like anarchists. They believe that the world would be a perfect place and everyone would get along with everyone if we would just get rid of all authority. All governments, no police, no anything. Just total, complete, you're on your own. Get their point across, they kill people. They blow up people. This was especially prevalent 100 years ago, where they were killing just about anybody who was trying to stop their cause. Like I said, magical thinking. Doesn't make sense. This film's co-stars Stuart Whitman, who I think recently passed away, and also Lee Marvin was in this film. Bruce Cabot, who is in a lot of Wayne films, as they were friends. Okay, I don't believe the title of this one for a minute. It has a good cast. Special edition, starring Gina Davis, Jim Carrey, David Wayans, Jeff Goldblum, and Julie Brown, and had the hit single, which wouldn't get released today. I have it on 12-inch maxi single, Homecoming Queen's Got a Gun. Everybody run. The Homecoming Queen's Got a Gun. Anyway, the title of the film is Earth Girls Are Easy. Well, what I don't believe about that is that wasn't my experience back when I was single. Now that I'm married, I have women hitting on me all the time. Beautiful women. And when I was single, I couldn't talk to beautiful women. But now that I'm married, I don't pay any attention. I just talk to them. And I think that's the secret. They pick up on that vibe that, hey, I'm not looking at them that way, so they can, whatever. Okay, I already know that is a cold caller, and it's political. So I got one of those yesterday. Okay, back to the land of PAL. This is a series that is also available in the U.S. and is routinely shown on PBS stations around the country. The Good Life. Although here it's known as Good Neighbors, because just before this series was made available to American television, there was an American network sitcom called The Good Life that bombed. And then suddenly, the BBC was trying to sell this series in America. So they changed the name to Good Neighbors so people wouldn't get confused. And they've never changed that. I wanted the original titled version. I mean, it's no different otherwise. But the final episode makes more sense with this title. because they toast, the four of them toast to The Good Life. Now, my mom, back when this first came out, watched it a lot, and I immediately fell in love with Felicity Kendall, and she has just always been adorable. They could dress her in the most frumpiest outfits, and frequently did, and she was still sexy. This is another PAL release starring Felicity Kendall, Stephen Moore, and Michael Howe. Series 1 and Series 2 of Solo. I mean, come on. How can you not love that face? Okay, I'm going to call things quits there. Wait a minute. I'll show one more. This is PAL Standard also. Great comedy moments. Over 40 clips from your favorite BBC comedy shows. This is the first PAL Standard, well, it's the first DVD I've ever seen from any country that is region coded for 2 different regions. It says regions 2+4. Now, of course, region 4 is Australia, so that makes sense. Let's see. I need to get on it. I haven't seen this since 2007, November 26th to be exact. Prior to that, I'd seen it on May 11th, 2003. Anyway, it has clips. I'm not going to give the titles of the clips, just the name of the series they're from. Reggie Perrin, Hello Hello, Tony Hancock, Alf Garnett, Likely Lads, Fry and Laurie, One Foot in the Grave, Yes Minister. I have the complete Yes Minister and Yes Prime Minister series. The Good Life, Steptoe and Son, which I also have. That was the original British version of what would become the American series, Sanford and Son. Anyway, Steptoe and Son, Blackadder, Are You Being Served, Tony Hancock, Eric Sykes. I have Eric Sykes on VHS. Porridge, Up Pompeii, Only Fools and Horses, Last of the Summer Wine, It's Marty, Yes Minister, Likely Lads, Peter Cook and Dudley Moore, Hancock, Workman and Wise, Reggie Perrin, The Two Ronnies, Blackadder, Alf Garnett, Dick Emery, Porridge, Steptoe and Son, Likely Lads, The Good Life, Eric Sykes, Are You Being Served, The Two Ronnies, Some Mothers Do Have 'Em, Only Fools and Horses, Open All Hours, Peter Cook and Dudley Moore, and Ronnie Baker. That's really cool compilation disc. Oh, I didn't put the index card back in. I am in the process of sorting through all of my comic books. As I mentioned on my Twitter account, I got in the first batch of British comics that I ordered, but I went and ordered a second batch from an entirely different series. So I'm waiting for those to come in to show those British comics. And I have been in the process of sorting my comics, and I've been buying comics like crazy. In fact, I've been adding a full box every week, and a box will hold about 150, assuming the comics have a bag and a board, and all of mine do. And I'm in the process of getting everything in alphabetical order, alphabetical order, I should say. I'm going to show you those, and of course I have to keep top of all my other series as well. I have been asked to do a video on my near-death experiences, so that will be coming up. I've got more paranormal stuff to talk about. So, and also, I'm thinking of starting another series that's incorporated into my vlogs, as the paranormal stuff is. And that is something they talk about in the Harry Potter films, and that's what makes you who you are not, is not what you've inherited gene-wise or whatever, but the choices you make. And I have had some really, on occasion, traumatic and at other times highly embarrassing situations. And I thought it would be kind of a neat idea to do a series where I talk about the experience and how I dealt with it. Sometimes I didn't always deal with it well. Sometimes I dealt with it humorously, and other times differently, but on a positive note. And I've found that that's the best way to turn anything happens to you. Try to find the humor in the situation. Now, I know some things it's kind of hard to do, but I do it all the time. It's like, I saw one of my doctors the other day, and we were talking about how messed up my right knee is, because whenever I fall, which is a lot, I either fall on my right knee or my face. Usually. That's how I land. Sometimes I'll land differently. And when I said in my face, I added, which kind of explains my looks. And she smiled. But anyway, I'm rambling now, so I need to go. I'm going to try and stick a link down there to a video that SteveBenway did recently, a gameplay video. His commentary on that video is hilarious, and I told him that. I told him he was in rare form on that one. So, until next time, stay awesome.